I think the problem is that the people driving it fell for their own propaganda here.
Let's Talk Marketplace.
The Marketplace podcast with Ingrid Lommer and Valerie Dichtel.
Hi everyone and welcome back to a new episode of Let's Talk Marketplace. Just Ingrid behind the mic today, and it will actually be like this for the most of the upcoming episodes as well. Maybe you already read the great news on LinkedIn. Valerie is having a baby soon. So at the moment she's slowly merging into maternity leave. And we'll take a step back in Q1. So yeah, I will of course miss my better business half here on Let's Talk Marketplace. But not to worry, she'll be back. And until then, I will keep our conversations going, and I will do so with the help of great guests and great marketplace topics. Starting today, actually, because we've got a topic that is, I don't know, it couldn't honestly be more up to date, I think. Maybe you've seen the big headlines in mid-November. The EU wants to put a stop to the flood of cheap small parcels entering Europe. I looked up some numbers. Last year alone, I think some 4.6 billion low-value shipments under a worth of 150 euros landed in the EU. That's roughly 12 million parcels a day. So yeah, and over 90% of them came from China. So now the political agreement is to remove the 150 euro de-minimis customs exceptions in 2026 already. Before that, there were talks about removing it in 2028, but now they have put that to 2026. So I guess the question is that it? Yeah, will that be enough to slow down the ranks of Temu, Shein, AliExpress, and all the other Chinese players waiting in the ranks? Yeah, spoiler, I don't think so, but we'll see, and we'll dive more into this. And I'm really happy to welcome someone who truly understands China's digital economy and who agreed to join me for our recording today in a true China speed fashion, because I think I asked him 2 days ago and now he's already here. Björn Ognibeni, seasoned expert on China commerce and founder of the highly recommendable China Briefs. Björn, great to have you here, and it's great to meet you finally in person. So would you briefly introduce yourself?
Hello, Björn Ognibeni. I'm joining you from not so sunny Hamburg this morning. And I've been working at the intersection between, let's say, digital innovation and marketing, customer service, product strategy, stuff like this for like over 20 years. And my imaginary job title, as I like to say, is practical visionary. I'm trying to find new stuff, new trends that are not in the mainstream but I think will be soon. Try to figure them out, do nice keynotes around them. But then also, and that's where the practical part comes in, I help my clients figuring out what to do with these trends. So doing actual projects, and this also helps me learn more about these trends. So that's basically the setup for over 20 years. And the problem was a couple of years ago that I used to go to the US to find new trends. I still, well, these days a little bit less, like to be in the US, but I stopped seeing new trends there. Yeah, AI is a little bit of change, but in general, not much has happened over the last 10, 15 years. Yeah, most of the stuff that we're using today comes from the year, I think, 2007, like Facebook, iPhone, all these things. And they got optimized and sometimes made better, sometimes made worse over the years. But there's nothing that have been really rethought. And that's how I ended up in China, because I thought maybe there's something interesting to see. And I was there for the first time in 2018 and realized two things. That first, all the new stuff that I was missing from the US is happening in China. And the second one was nobody here knows anything about this. And so I changed my mission a little bit from just looking to the US to looking worldwide and mainly focusing on China to find new stuff, but still doing the same things, figuring them out, explain to clients and do projects around them.
Where do you get your information from? So especially if you're talking about China, so what are your main sources?
LinkedIn is a very good source. Yeah, if you have a good friends list or follower list, and you get a lot of interesting feeds from there. There are lots of websites where you find new stuff. So it's actually pretty easy to follow new things from here. To understand China, you have to be in China, but you don't have to stay there. Yeah, you have to visit regularly, but you don't have to live there. And what's also important is that a lot of stuff that I saw in 2018, I can still use. Yeah, because we haven't caught up yet. I can show charts about AI, how AI was used in 2018, and people still get amazed by it. And it is already, 6, 7, 8 years ago that these things happened. So I don't always have to be at the cutting edge.
I see. How do you keep from not getting depressed? I mean, come on. Whenever you look to China, it's like, that's the hard part, I guess.
Living in two, not time zones, but speed zones, basically.
Yeah.
That's indeed a problem.
Okay. Right. Thank you for that. Okay. So I guess we can jump right into it. Before we dive into the conversation on China commerce with Björn, a very quick note from our partner Channable, because if you have been thinking about selling to the Switzerlands, but refrain from it because it's still too complicated, customs, VAT, onboarding, the whole package, then maybe you should check this out. Channable just published a deep dive interview with Tobias Weiermann from Digitech Galaxus, which is Switzerland's largest marketplace, and the champion with about 3.2 billion Swiss francs in annual sales, and they're bigger than Amazon in Switzerland. So he got some interesting things to say about Digitech Galaxus in general, but also on cross-border sales and about the sellers who want to target the Swiss market from outside Switzerland. Because there is something called Galaxus EU Hub. And with this, sellers from the EU can tap into the about 3 billion market with zero onboarding fees and even without a Swiss VAT registration. Automated customs, fast go live, 2 business models to choose from. So that's all a lot simpler than you might think. Tobias also provides some very concrete best practices. So you should look for clean product data, for correct brand naming, strong descriptions, and high quality images. And tools like Channable help merchants meet those Swiss data standards effortlessly. If you're curious to know how onboarding really works at Galaxus and whether Switzerland might be your next growth market, then you should check out the full interview on the Channable blog. You will find the link in the show notes. Okay, so let's start out, Björn, with the question that I posed in the beginning. I've briefly lined out what this new exemption from the de-minimis rule is going to be. So the EU ministers have agreed on this. There's a political agreement on it. It still needs to be put into legislation, of course, but that will happen over the next few months. So I guess the 150 euro threshold will fall sometime in Q1. What will that do to the Chinese players at the moment?
I think you already answered the question sufficiently. Nothing. Basically nothing.
Okay, that's harsh. I wouldn't have said nothing maybe, but yeah, please elaborate.
Not what they hope it will do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the problem is that the people driving it fell for their own propaganda here, because that was the line of reasoning that they pushed for the last 2 years or so, that this is the problem. And to get something out of the way up front, there is a role to play for the regulator, and that's in product safety. Yeah. And keeping everything in line with the law. Yeah, that I think we don't have to discuss about this. Dangerous products shouldn't be sold in the EU. No question about this. Also, IP problems and all these other things, where it's about compliance. it makes nothing but sense for the regulator to make sure that this is happening. Yeah, so we shouldn't talk about this because it's obvious, and everything that's happening there should happen. Yeah. So, but if it comes to
be fair, is not happening in a way, because
there's a lot
back
of
to these
problems
12
there.
million parcels
Absolutely.
a day that can't be checked over.
But it's not a problem of Shein and Temu. It's a problem probably also of Amazon Marketplace. And we just bought something from a physical retail store that some electric thing from China that looked pretty dangerous after using it 2-3 times. And that was just a physical store. So it's a general problem. But that's not what we are talking about. We are talking about, for example, customs. And the problem with customs is I think around, I'm not so sure, but I think it's around 13% on average we are talking about. That Temu or Shein have to pay once these 150 euro threshold is away. So what's the problem? I think they already raised prices or doubled the prices of money on many products. They can just swallow the 13% and that's it. So that won't change anything. What will change something is that probably our processes are not prepared to do this. Yeah, this 150 euro threshold wasn't there to accommodate Shein, Temu, AliExpress, and all these other companies. It was there because we weren't able to check all these parcels. And because we have not digital processes, but we have probably still a lot of stuff happening on paper.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what happens once the customs have to check every parcel that comes in there. And it probably will hit lots of people who are not from Temu and Shein sending in parcels and packages. And
yeah, well, this is really one of the things, how to really enforce it, as you say, because the flood of parcels will just stay the same, I guess. Yeah, right. But I mean, everyone's been talking about this 150 euro threshold. I saw that like all over LinkedIn as well. There were lots of posts by high-profile retailers, for example, asking for this threshold to fall. And I think also at least the German Association for Trade, HDE, has published a quite triumphant press release, I think, when that came out, and saying, now this is what we have been fighting for. So, and now you come along and say, it won't really make any difference. So what is this?
I mean, I used the word propaganda, and I did this on purpose because, like, for example, one of the urban myths that those people have been pushing was that Shein and Temu were splitting packages to come below the 150 euros, and that never was true. I mean, that might have been true in several separate instances, but as far as I know, the average order value for them was always below 50 euros. Yeah, let it be 100 euros. So twice of that. That there weren't not much packages above 150 euros. So why splitting them? That never really made any sense. It might make sense for AliExpress when I buy something more valuable because they sell stuff that's one thing costs more than 150 euros, but how do I split a laptop? Yeah, I can declare it wrongly. I can declare a laptop that's 1,500 euros for 140. Yeah, things like this probably also happen. But you mentioned the number of packages. Is that happening in certain instances? Yeah, might be. Is it happening on a systemic scale that's really a problem? I doubt it. Yeah. So, and the other question was always tax evasion. Yeah, that's one thing is this customs thing. It's 13%. I think they are happy to pay these 13% if it's ensured that it goes quickly through customs. But the other thing was tax evasion. Yeah, they are not really paying the value-added tax they are supposed to pay. And that's actually pretty easy to evaluate, this claim, because you have the numbers of packages, rough number at least, and you have the average order value. So if you multiply this, you have a rough number of revenue, and then you take, for example, for Germany, 19%, and then you know how much, at least the ballpark number, how much VAT we should get. And if that would be way, way below what people would expect, then probably we would have heard about it a long time ago. We never heard any numbers about this. And that's probably because everybody knows there are irregularities on single instances, but that's not a systematic problem.
Not on a systemic scale. Yes, I would agree. And I think this is what we also saw. The EU in 2021 enforced the laws about platforms, that platforms had to make their retailers pay VAT, basically, VAT, the big VAT reform. And we did see some drop in Chinese online sales when that came along, but it wasn't long term. It just didn't take them very long to adjust to that. And now they have just included the VAT into their calculations and they're back stronger than ever. So might be just the same thing happening next year.
And the real problem is, the fact these companies, Chinese companies, are very well equipped for optimizing towards regulation. Yeah, you throw a new law at them, they just comply. And so that's also a problem if you think you can stop them with this. And the other thing is, Temu announced at the beginning of this year that sometime in 2025, they want to deliver 80% of the orders locally. Yeah. So this is merchandise that have been imported through the regular processes, in all the ways how all types of products come into the EU. Then it's more or less game over. Yeah, that's just a normal seller that sells stuff through normal channels. Hopefully, all the stuff they are selling was inspected. Like everything that comes in the EU is supposed to be inspected. And then all these little parcels and packages that we don't want to bring on an individual basis into the EU because it's also bad for the environment, no matter how much customs and taxes they pay. And probably Temu also would like to do local warehouse things. They like it better than sending all these packages. So at this point, we have to find new solutions. Yeah. And I'm not sure how much of these 80% is already reality. They don't want to tell me. Maybe they are far off, but then they are there next year. But what we have seen in the US, once Trump terminated de-minimis, the next day, I have a nice screenshots from that. All the searches on Temu in the US turned up local search results, stuff that was delivered locally. And so that will be happening here too. So I don't that's the reason why I don't think that will bring much change.
Yeah, that was really, that's a good point you're making, how little the Chinese players were affected by whatever Trump threw at them in the US. They didn't much care about the de minimis. They didn't even much care about the high tariffs. So I think they're now up to, 54% or something in the US. So I don't think they will even break a sweat when dealing with the 13 or 17%.
I think the 150% was a little bit too much.
That was a bit too much, but that didn't last very long. And I think now they're down to 54. So, and that doesn't seem to be much of a problem. So, yeah. Okay. So is there anything that we can throw at them that will, keep them out? Because this is what I keep hearing from local or from EU retailers and brands, is we have to keep them out. This is not our business. We don't want them here. The customers don't agree, obviously, because the numbers are growing and growing and growing. But is there anything that we can do to keep them out?
Yeah, I mean, we are in a market economy, so that means competition, and we have to react to competition. And just hoping that politics will solve this problem, I'm not sure. That probably won't be a solution. So we have to find different ways. We have to learn from them. And we also have to understand that Temu and Shein are just the first ones to arrive. Yeah, AliExpress was here a long time ago, and we never really noticed them. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why AliExpress wasn't able to become the Temu of today. Yeah, because
they are
they could have
working on
been.
it. They are working on it.
But the scale is much smaller.
Yeah, it's less. But if you look at the transparency reports that they now are offering for the EU, they are also growing quite strongly, especially in Southern Europe. So
exactly, that's also an interesting thing, that when Chinese are coming to Europe, they firstly focus on Italy and Spain, and not so much on the Nordics or on Germany. And there's more to come. Yeah, because when I was the first time at Alibaba headquarters in 2018 in Hangzhou, we asked them, when will Alibaba start selling stuff in the EU on a bigger scale than AliExpress? And they said that that's not really interesting for them, because there was much more growth in China. Germany is pretty small compared to Chinese business, and in Europe it's too fragmented, too complicated. We stay in Asia or we stay in China. That was their message back then. Now we have two things. We first have the problem that the growth in China is no longer there, at least not in the way that it used to be. And the other thing is that Shein and Temu, but also TikTok, showed there's really big money to be made in Europe, despite all the fragmentation. And there's no competition. Yeah, nobody here knows what to do against them, except relying on politics. And that's something that probably more and more Chinese players will attract. And so we have no other way than start competing with them on new ideas, concepts, better products, better services, stuff like this.
I think you raise an interesting point here with saying that we are basically leaving the door open to them because we don't have a real competition for the area that they are attacking, which is mostly low to maximum mid-price areas. And to be honest, there is not really a platform or another player inside the EU that is really looking for that low price price entry area. And even Amazon has been moving up into a mid-range price in the last years. So have we just, I don't know, left this area for the Chinese to play with, and just left it to them?
I think the problem is even bigger. Because the thinking that China is only about cheap stuff is based on our experience from the last, 50 years or so. If we look at the last 5,000 years, there was something that was called the Silk Road. Yeah, why was the Silk Road called Silk Road? Because silk came out of China, which was the most luxurious products for thousands of years. Porcelain in the US is called China because that also came over the Silk Road. Yeah, Marco Polo didn't go to China because he wanted to get cheap plastic stuff, but because it was the richest country on earth, and he wanted to get all the luxurious stuff from there. So if companies or brands that think today, okay, we don't produce cheap stuff, so we are safe from Chinese competition, they probably should think twice, because we will see much more high quality stuff coming out of China. We have to realize that our iPhones, which is the most complicated product probably in consumer electronics these days, comes from China. So Chinese can build the real cheap plastic stuff for €1 that we get on Temu, but they can also build very complex stuff like an iPhone and high quality fashion brands, for example, that probably will come out of China that will compete with the current luxury brands. And that's how we should approach this problem. Yeah, seeing it from a much wider angle than just all these cheap plastic things that can be flown in little packages.
So what do we do about it?
Yeah, starting to compete. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really an e-commerce expert. I'm more an expert on digital transformation in general. So I see things not in silos, but more in a holistic way. And every industry right now has this problem. Yeah, the solar industry, cars, new energy, pharmacy, all these companies suddenly realized how much progress China made and that they have to compete. That's a problem. Yeah, of course it's a problem. But we have to get better. That's probably the answer. And if we look to at e-commerce, e-commerce is one of my prime examples for showing that we've been talking about digital change for like 20 years, but what we are actually experiencing is digital stagnation. Not much has changed in e-commerce over the last 20 years. Yeah, lots optimization have been taking place. A/B tests and making it click here more and stuff like this. But never has anybody really thought, how can we rethink e-commerce, retail, and stuff like this in a fundamental way? And that's what's happening in China every day. Because of this intense competition there, if you have a good idea that works, you know that tomorrow there will 5 others, and the next after that is 50 others who have the same idea. But they can only steal yesterday's idea from you, not tomorrow's. So the easy solution is you have to come up with something new tomorrow too. And that's a problem for us because we think I had an idea 10 years ago and I want to write for this for the rest of my days. Yeah, and that will no longer be possible. It's a sad story, but actually in the sense of progress, it's actually a good thing.
Just have to be quicker. Talking about quicker in innovation, this is something that I also wanted to raise with you after another short break. Yes, another short break in which I would like to chime in with a quick word on our new partner and sponsor, Octopia. As you know, we are quick to call out marketplaces for bad merchant services and shoddy integrations on this channel, but I have to admit, building a marketplace is not an easy task. Software setup, integrations, and all the technical details make it challenging enough. And then there's the all-time question, how do I get strong, high-quality sellers for my platform? And that's where our new partner, Octopia, can help. It's the first fully integrated suite of marketplace services developed by an actual marketplace operator. The French generalist Cdiscount is behind it. Yeah, and Octopia, with about 20 years of experience, over 2 billion euros GMV, 450 specialists, and 10,000 vetted sellers. The mission is quite clear. They acquire sellers for you as a marketplace operator. They onboard them fast to your platform and drive their performance so your marketplace can scale without much complexity. Octopia stands out with operational strength, targeted seller sourcing, onboarding in just 3 to 5 days, pan-European fulfillment, sponsored product solutions, and access to over 100 marketplaces in Europe. With 1 billion offers crawled monthly, 150 business developers, a churn rate below 1%, and double-digit GMV uplift, often within a few weeks, Octopia delivers fast, scalable growth that's proven across markets. Whether you want to diversify categories or accelerate internationalization or reduce dependency on a handful of sellers, Octopia delivers scalable growth without any operational headaches. yeah, if you want to know why platforms like Rakuten, Allegro, CDON, and Fnac.at trust Octopia, then you can take a look at our company portrait on our website. You'll find the link in the show notes. Talking about revolutionary ideas and change. You've been at the Co-Create Europe event from Alibaba a few, I think, weeks ago, and I read crazy stuff about what happened there and what was shown there, and I guess it showcased very much how innovative the Chinese commerce and the Chinese industry is at the moment. Maybe just line that out for you. What did they present there?
It actually was boring, not
boring?
crazy,
Okay.
but in a good way.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, it was not Alibaba. Yeah, that's a very important thing. It was Alibaba.com. And they have a big naming problem here, but they probably can't much do about it. The thing is, when Alibaba started, it was basically a B2B platform. And the original business is still Alibaba.com. Yeah, and when I talk to clients about Alibaba.com, they think it's probably the website of Alibaba. And there's all the stuff that Taobao, Temu, all these AliExpress, that's all Alibaba. And it's not. The website is called alibabagroup.com. So Alibaba.com is a totally different business. And Alibaba.com is the original core business of Alibaba because before they did the B2C stuff. And that's B2B sourcing. That's why I said it's boring. But it's also not boring because it's actually a very interesting service because you can buy 200 million products from all over the world. Of course, most of the manufacturers are from China, but there are also lots of other companies from all over the world. And I think the biggest market is the US. The second biggest market is Brazil or so. Yeah, it's truly international. And it's very interesting that nobody here knows anything about this. Neither the seller nor the buyers. That's at least my impression when I talk to my clients about this, because I always have to first explain what Alibaba.com actually is as a business. And the event was actually last Friday, so it's not that far away. I basically just came back from there, and it was called Co-Create because it was an event about creating products, basically. Yeah, also selling them, but there's also the creating part is an integral idea of the whole operation. And what they showed was how AI can be used in this context. Like, for example, agentic AI, which is the probably biggest hype right now on LinkedIn. And what my job usually is see these trends and try to generalize from this learnings, insights that we can use also in other areas. And this whole Alibaba AI using AI stuff, Alibaba.com using AI stuff, is actually a good example for what kind of insights we can generate from these things. Because if we look at agentic AI, also at AI in general, what we often get is nice demos, very impressive demos on LinkedIn, yeah, or on YouTube, but not much business value out of it, yeah, because it always stays in the proof of concept pilot phase. Yeah, it never really gets scaled into business. And one of the reasons is, like, for example, agentic buying, that we have the vision that in tomorrow or in a year or in 10 years, who knows, an agent will do all the shopping for me. And that's what everybody is raving about. That's what retailers are anxious about. Yeah, that no longer the customer shows up, but his agent. How realistic is this? Like, if I want to buy a blue sweater, will I just tell the agent, buy a blue sweater, and he comes back and I have a blue sweater at my doorstep? Probably not. Yeah, it's probably doing the whole buying thing might happen in a few years or might not. I don't know, but it doesn't make much sense right now to get too occupied with this idea. And what we can learn from companies like Alibaba.com is focus on the part of agentic AI that actually makes sense to do. And that starts, and also AI, yeah, and that starts with search. I haven't found anyone, maybe Rufus, I'm not sure if that actually works with Amazon. I haven't really tried it, but most of the search that we do is still very much text-driven. Yeah, I type in a certain product that I want, and then I get overwhelmed with results. And then somehow I have to find the product that I want. Why isn't anybody using AI to help me with that? Yeah, that I actually can find the stuff that I want. I've started using ChatGPT Atlas for this. Yeah, that I don't ask Amazon to give me a product. I ask Atlas to find a product for me that I think that I want. Yeah, and this search enhanced or AI enhanced search. Yeah, that's something that is pretty obvious. Nobody's doing this, and that you can find on Alibaba.com. Yeah, if you look for something, you get tens of thousands of suppliers who can give you this product, and it's extremely difficult to find the right one. And the AI search can help you find the right choice for you. So that's one of the things that they have introduced there. So that's the question: what should I buy, or where should I buy it? Yeah, that's. But another question is if I was invited by Alibaba.com last year to the Olympics for an event where they introduced a lot of this stuff already. So a lot of this stuff is actually was not introduced on Friday, but last year. We just haven't realized it. And I realized that there is actually a very interesting question that we don't talk about much is, what should I sell? Yeah, once I have certain merchandise sitting in my warehouse, it's very easy actually to sell it, right? You have Shopify, you have Amazon, you have lots of options. But the question is, what should I get to sell? And last year at the Olympics, that was together with the IOC, and they have a special project for former athletes who want to start a business by selling stuff around their sports. And those are people who might have a fan base, who might find it easy to sell to these fans, but they don't have the products. And Alibaba.com and the AI and all these things helps them to find the products that they can sell through market data analysis. You can, if you go to my YouTube page and scroll a little bit down low, you find a video from the IOC event where they demonstrated. That was a former pro tennis player who's now very much into pickleball. And the case was, I now want to start a business selling stuff around pickleball. And she threw this at Alibaba.com's AI, and the AI came back with a couple of suggestions for groups like equipment, fashion, shoes, stuff like this. And she then decided for shoes. Then together with the AI, they specified the products. You know, what kind of special requirements does a shoe for pickleball has? Then after having that, the AI helps her to find the right supplier, negotiate the contract, and then in the end, she actually has a container of shoes that she can sell. Mm-hmm. And that's what I meant by boring. Yeah, that sounds kind of boring, but it actually solves a real problem. And what they introduced...
And it does revolutionize the way that you could source products in a way.
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make a good, compelling LinkedIn demo. That's what I meant by boring. Yeah, it's not a video like flying cars or something like this. But what they introduced last Friday was that they put AI agents into the platform that does all this. Yeah, that means that the AI generates a table with potential suppliers. And then I can ask, okay, what are my landed costs? Yeah, including shipping, customs, all these other things that I have to add to the price to know how much this costs, what I want to buy. That's a pretty difficult task. Yeah, boring, but difficult, but necessary. And
please stop saying boring. This isn't boring at all, really. Björn, come on. I mean, just to sum that up,
coming
I'm
from
giving
the
you a story
marketing
here. Okay?
world, branding, and all these fun stuff.
I'll do the storytelling for this, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is my job. This is
I also don't find
revolutionizing
it
the way
boring,
sourcing works.
but very often when I talk to customers about this, they start to yawn because they want to see nice AI-generated pictures. Yeah, where are the pictures coming in? The AI agents then are being used to check all the different supplier requirements, the customs. It becomes the suppliers sitting in different countries. I have to do research on the customs and all these kind of things. And then it generates a nice table that shows me how much I actually have to pay, which is work that probably takes days or even weeks sometimes.
More weeks, I guess.
They show a video how this can be done within minutes. And that's pretty crazy, yes. But it's also, and that's again my job to generalize these things, that shows you a way how you can use AI agents today in a sense, in a way that makes total sense, business sense, and we are not doing it. Yeah, we are focusing on the buy the blue sweater part for me. Yeah, and that's what I find always interesting, using these examples to change our thinking towards other directions. But if you're in sourcing, that's a pretty interesting, compelling offering that they got there. And that was just the second question. I can offer a third one if you want to.
Going into this for a bit, because I'll give you a storyline for your yawning customers. This is what this is going to create in the future is a whole tsunami of new D2C brands that act very quickly, that can come to the market within weeks, days even, absolutely target their target group perfectly, and with a very good calculation behind the production of products. So this is a problem for brands, I think, but because there's going to be it's going to be much easier to push new products on the market that are not here yet, especially in the D2C area.
What you can also do is you can use Alibaba.com's picture search or photo search feature to find supplier of everyone. Yeah, like for example, my daughter came on Saturday and wanted to buy a D2C brand watch. I don't mention the name. And they wanted like the typical Instagram, TikTok kind of D2C brand. And they wanted to sell the watch for 100 euros. And I took out Alibaba.com, took a picture of the watch, and I can buy it for 2 euros on Alibaba.com. Yeah, it looks the same. Probably we have to do more research to see if it's still the same product, but it looked quite similar. But that's also a problem. Yeah, suddenly you have an unbelievable amount of transparency. And you have to justify why you want to sell this thing for 100 euros that I can actually buy for 2. I offered to buy 10 and then she could pass them around in the class. That's also a big problem that we probably will face quickly. And it's also something that I always like to show when I talk about Shein and Temu. I show a bag that I can buy on Amazon for like 19 euros, and you can buy it on Temu and Shein for like 8 and 6 euros or something like that. And then I let people ask, what do you think the same bag is sold for in China? And usually nobody really gets the price. It's around 1 euro. and it's sold around €1 still with profit. So very often the question is not why is it so cheap on Temu, it's more why is it so expensive on Amazon.
On Amazon or maybe even in the brand store if they are.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that is a whole new, as you said, field of transparency that we haven't known so far, and I think this will affect
way
a lot
beyond
of brands.
customs and taxes.
Yes, and it will affect brands that can't hide any longer behind the great branding strategy, because if the product is just the same as the one on Alibaba.com, it's really hard to justify the higher price just through branding. And that's it. Yeah. So that's, as you say, this is a much bigger problem.
Especially if the branding is not very, is boring too, right?
Or not very inventive.
But I can give you one last question that can be answered using Alibaba.com services, and that's who can make this? I have an idea for a product and I can describe it, but I don't know where to get it. It could be a very complicated thing. And Alibaba.com has an app that's called Axio, ACCIO, which is basically a chatbot for products. I can put in there my prompt describing the product, and Axio tries to build a supply chain for me for this product. I can even ask it to check with market data if this product has a successful business ahead of it. I can generate or visualize drafts of it, pictures of this, and then I can use those, which I can modify, which I can then use to find suppliers. And so the whole process of I have an idea to I have a product that I can sell is also supported here, without actually picking out products, just with the idea. That's a pretty interesting thing for somebody who wants to start a D2C brand.
That all comes back to that, actually. That creating and selling products is going to be a matter of days or weeks and not a matter of months anymore. So hooray, after the tsunami of retailers and platforms coming from China, I guess there will be the next wave coming from D2C brands that are all active on these platforms and are coming for us. Yeah, that is really an interesting outlook. Thank you for breaking down what happened at the Co-Create. And I agree with you in that case that it's not it's not an Instagrammable topic in a way. It's not a YouTubeable
That's what I meant.
YouTubeable topic, because it's much more complicated and it has a much further reach than everything we are talking about at the moment. I absolutely agree. Yes, thank you very much for your insights, Björn. That was really interesting. And it was great having you here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Right. I hope you all can digest what we said today, because I think it was a lot. Thanks for listening to us. And you could make me, as always, very happy by following us or rating our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And also leaving your comments and telling us what you think about this new Chinese wave that is coming. Yeah, next week we'll be talking a bit more operative business. I'll have an expert over to debate whether Black Week on Amazon is still working or not, with some very up-to-date figures and numbers from the market. So that is also going to be interesting. So tune in next time, and thanks for today. Bye-bye. You listen to Let's Talk Marketplace,
the Marketplace podcast with Ingrid Lommer and Valerie Dichtel.